Hi, and welcome to Jonesy Chats Wrestling. My name is Steve. I'm going to be your host for today, and I'm going to bring you the recap of the NXT episode from March 31st, 2021. Let's go. So the show starts off with Roderick Strong coming down to the ring. He's going to have a match with Cameron Grimes. Strong has a new package, new image, new music. Grimes then proceeds to come out. He has an offer for Roderick Strong. He decides that he wants to carry on the Undisputed Era with Roderick Strong and call it Grimes the System. He then pulls out some cheap merch. It's not too happy with Roderick Strong, who then proceeds to jump out the ring. He then starts the match early. He starts wailing down hard on Cameron Grimes. They finally get back in the ring. The match carries on. It's a hard-hitting match, really good match. Good counter display from Grimes, really, really good. Match ends with Cameron Grimes pulling out a Undisputed Era armband out of his trunks, and he goes to sock Strong with it. Strong then reverses. The armband's on the floor. Strong is taken back by the armband. He sort of looks lost in the moment. He turns around. Cameron Grimes then hits him with the cave-in, picks up the pinfall 1, 2, 3 to make him look strong going into the Battle Royale match at the end of the night. We then get a Karrion Kross package where Karrion talks about how he's going to be on Finn Balor like never before, and it shows him with a training montage, practicing judo and all other kinds of stuff. Not really much to it. It's just a bit of a warm-up to Stand and Deliver. There's then a Walter package with Ciampa advertising their NXT UK Championship match coming up at Stand and Deliver. Walter then, this is the one thing I really, really hate about WWE, is you've got Walter banging on about how he's the longest reigning WWE NXT UK champion. Not hard when NXT UK has been shut down for a year. I just really don't like the way WWE used to get superstars to say this. If he can't wrestle, he can't wrestle. He shouldn't be doing it. It's pretty stupid. The next match of the night is then Santos Escobar with Legado del Fantasma in the ring. He issues a open challenge to anyone in the locker room, just as a preview to Jordan Devlin as to what's going to happen next week on Stand and Deliver. The challenge is then accepted by none other than Prince Pretty himself, Tyler Breeze, who comes out, runs a little promo himself, enters the ring. The match gets started. Good offensive display from Tyler Breeze, something we haven't seen in a long time. He ends up outside the ring, doing a couple of moves. He ends up taking out Legado del Fantasma, where it then cuts to the commercial break, and we come back, and all of a sudden Escobar's back on top of Tyler Breeze. It then proceeds further on in the match. At one point, Tyler Breeze then gets Escobar into a sharpshooter, has the hold on for a long time. Escobar finally crawls over to the ropes, gets that rope break, and then ends up with Escobar winning the match with the Phantom Driver, picks up the pinfall for 1, 2, 3. Legado del Fantasma enter the ring. Escobar's about to carry on a beatdown on Tyler Breeze. When MSK's music plays, they hit the ring. They come down to the ring for the save. We then the grizzled young veterans on TV. They're basically stating that next week they are going to be the #1 tag team in NXT. This match is going to be hot. To be fair, this whole Stand and Deliver pay-per-view is going to be off the rail. Can't wait to watch it. Every match is destined to be great on this pay-per-view. Next, we have a backstage segment with The Way. You have Johnny Gargano being interviewed, and they're asking him about his match for Stand and Deliver. He then cuts a promo on William Regal saying, I can't believe he's only going to get 24 hours prep for his match. Then turns around to Austin Theory. He says, I don't even know why you're in this match. And Austin Theory's like, do you not remember the finger poke of doom? Johnny Gargano then cuts on the finger poke of doom ruined the business. And Theory's like, well, we're still here, aren't we? Absolutely great backstage segment. Absolutely wonderful. There's then a recap on Raquel Gonzalez from last week on her trying to put Io through that table that didn't break. Looked painful. We then have a women's NXT tag team match. It's good to see the women on to the show getting a lot of time, especially after Raw on Monday, where they only got 10 minutes and 3 hours. And this show is predominantly women dominated, but to be fair, NXT women's locker room is the best locker room going. It's Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Gigi Dolan and Kaylin Ramir. Gigi Dolan is formerly Priscilla Kelly on the Indies. Caden Ramir is a Booker T student, formerly known as Angela Quintina Arnold. Big future for them two coming up, I imagine. Very short match just to get across the point that Indy and Candice want to challenge for the women's NXT tag team titles. Indy wins with a top rope springboard elbow, picks up the pin for 1, 2, 3. After the match, Candice and Indy get on the mic and basically announce that they want this match for Takeover. It's then preceded by Ember and Shotzi coming out in Shotzi's tank and accepting the match, really. And later on in the night, it's announced that for next week, for next week on Takeover, you will get a women's NXT tag team title match. Next backstage, you have Io Shirai attacking Raquel Gonzalez for the first time, I think, in 3 or 4 segments tonight backstage. Raquel easily overcomes it and then proceeds to enter the ring for her match next with Zoe Stark. We then get a strange promo package with a dog entering the CWC, a tiny little Pomeranian. It'll explain more later on in the night, but basically, Taya Valkyrie has been announced to be turning up in 2 weeks on NXT. She's now going to go by the name Frankie. Roderick Strong is then interviewed backstage, and he is leaving the CWC, and they say no one can understand why. And he just turns around and says, "I'm done. That's it. I'm leaving." And he just decides to walk out. So he's automatically out the Battle Royal later on in the night. We then get Raquel Gonzalez versus Zoe Starks. Great match. Strong display from Zoe, especially going into her future. I mean, she's amazing. She comes out with a top rope neck breaker, which is this diving neck breaker looked fantastic. Almost picks up the pinfall. Inevitably, though, Raquel Gonzalez wins because it's got to make her look strong going into Stand and Deliver. Which she wins with a single arm power bomb. Yeah, it's really, really good match. I would suggest going back to watch it just for that diving net breaker because it was mad. Io then comes out after to carry on the brawl that was started beforehand. Again, Raquel just dominates and leaves her on the floor and then walks out backstage with Dakota Kai. We then get another dog package. This dog running through the CWC across one of the training rooms where it says "We are NXT" across the mat. We then get a backstage interview with Kushida. He's been interviewed in prep for the Battle Royal match later on. He's then interrupted by Pete Dunne. I think this was leaked last week that they were looking at Kushida versus Pete Dunne in the future. I'll get more into that later as we get onto the Battle Royal match. We then cut to a Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole promo for their unsanctioned match next week on Stand and Deliver. One thing I can't stand when WWE does this as well is they've booked it as a co-main event. I'm not being funny. There's no such thing as a co-main event. The main event is the main event. It's the last match of the night. I know the match is important, but just putting titles on it like co-main events, just let it be what it is. It's just a stupid title that this match really doesn't need. We then get Xia Li versus Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter in a 2-on-1 handicap tag team match. Very, very short again. Casey and Caden get off to an early start with their dominant displays. At one point, Casey pulls out a 360 lung blower. It was amazing. Go and check that out as well. Really, really good move. I'd like how Casey can pull off some of this stuff is unreal. This then leads to Caden jumping down off the apron. She then goes and confronts Tian Shaw, who's sitting at the top of the ramp like she normally is. Tian Shaw then grabs Caden by the throat and then blows smoke in her face, and Caden is incapacitated for the rest of the match, which ends about 30 seconds later as you get Xia Li winning with a roundhouse kick to Casey Catanzaro, and she picks up the pinfall for the 1, 2, 3. We then get another Raquel Gonzalez backstage segment where she is being interviewed about Io Shirai. Io then attacks her again. At this point, Raquel then puts Io through a wall. I say a wall. You can see when it cuts to the other side that it's a window that's had the glass taken out and replaced with wood. But yeah, so she puts her through, and you've got Raquel standing over her, just screaming at her to stay down. We then get our third and final dog promo of the night, where it just comes up to the dog sitting on the ramp in front of a woman wearing a pair of high heel boots, and it just says, "Frankie coming soon in 2 weeks." And there you go. Taya Valkyrie will finally get her debut in NXT. We then cut to a Tommaso Ciampa promo where he's talking about the relevance of the necklace being broken by Walter last week. He basically says that it was a gift from his wife and daughter, and how he's changed and all this kind of stuff. Pretty blasé segment, to be honest with you. Could have done without it, but again, why? I know you know why they're doing it, because Takeover's next week. It's at this point that they then confirm that the NXT Women's Tag Team titles will be defended on night 2 of Stand and Deliver. It will be Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell challenging against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. We then get to the main event. It's the men's battle royal to determine the final 6 participants that are going into night 1 in the gauntlet match. Strong's already declared that he's out. He's already said that he's already left the building at this point, so he won't be in the match. It then starts with Leon Ruff jumping Isaiah Swerve, ironically, just as they're entering the ring before the match starts. It then cuts to the commercial break, and then it just as Pete Dunne's entering the last into the ring. Match kicks off. Dexter Lumis, for the majority of this, is just standing in the corner. He doesn't move for about 3/4 of this match. It's really good booking for him. Just makes him look like he's a psycho, like he's a serial killer, like he's been booked for previously. Malcolm Bivens ends up costing Jake Atlas. He gets eliminated first, then followed by Tyler Rust, who's eliminated shortly after that. Bronson Reed, who had a really strong showing in this match, then eliminates Austin Theory. Austin Theory is then lying on his back on the floor outside. He tries to do a Kofi Kingston Rumble spot, and he's like, "Oh, I know what I'll do." He ends up doing a kip up to the floor, and then just not realizing that he's just eliminated himself with it. Austin Theory's been really booked recently with this whole therapist session and everything. He's doing really well with his character work at the minute. We then get Kushida and Pete Dunne going at each other one-on-one in the center of the ring. They end up actually double eliminating themselves. They end up double eliminating themselves, which then cuts to the commercial break. And as soon as the commercial break is over, that match has been announced for NXT Stand and Deliver night 1. It's going to be Pete Dunne versus Kushida. I don't know where that one is. Literally, it's the commercial breaks a couple of minutes, and they come back, and the first thing they announce is Pete Dunne, Kushida, night 1. After the commercial break as well, Johnny has come down at this point. He's now joined the commentary table. At this point, we're now down to our final 6. So whoever is eliminated now is basically the pecking order for who's going to be out from 1 to 6 next week in the match on night 1. Bronson Reed then eliminates Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott, so they will be entering at number 1 and 2 in the match next week. At this point, Cameron Grimes and L.A. Knight at this point have decided that they're going to try and get Bronson Reed out. Lumis then now finally moves from the corner that he's been standing in for the majority of and helps eliminate Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed is now going to be number 3 in the entry table. You've then got LA Knight, Dexter Lumis, and Cameron Grimes all standing in the ring. At this point, Cameron Grimes then tries to pay LA Knight and Dexter Lumis to just eliminate themselves. He's holding big wads of money and says, "You that way, you that way." Lumis then gives him a swift punch to the mouth. LA Knight and Lumis then eliminate Cameron Grimes, so he will be number 4 entering in the match. We're then down to the final 2. LA Knight manages to get Lumis on the apron. LA Knight then comes off the ring ropes. He bounces back, jumps through the ring ropes, lands on the apron, so he's not eliminated. Lumis is still standing on the apron. He grabs his foot, yanks him down, jumps back in the ring. LA Knight wins. He will be number 6, Lumis number 5, and that will be your running order for the gauntlet match on night 1. And then to end the show, Io Shirai comes down all hot-headed because she's had her ass handed to her all night by Raquel Gonzalez. She starts screaming something in her native language. Raquel Gonzalez then comes out, and it ends up with a brawl where the entire women's locker room is then emptied out to try and separate these two. They're really building this match to be something special, and I'm looking forward to this because this has basically dominated this NXT show going into Stand and Deliver. So I'm hoping it's going to be really good. It ends with Io Shirai jumping off the top rope, doing a splash to the outside and wiping out half of the women's locker room. Overall, a really good show of NXT. I expect nothing less from NXT. It is one of the best things on TV at the minute. Now with them moving forward to Tuesday nights, it's going to be even better because they can get more eyes on the product. Stand and Deliver is going to be, I tell you what, that card is 1, unpredictable, and 2, it's going to be amazing. Coming up later on today, George is doing a live stream where he's going to give his predictions. Over the weekend, I'll be back giving my predictions for NXT Stand and Deliver. And then next week, at some point, we will be reviewing it as well. So thanks for watching Jonesy Chats Wrestling. I've been your host, Steve. Please drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.